Congratulations, you guys. Tenet is no longer going to be the only confusing movie in 2020. What is this movie? What is it? What's going on, you guys? James here with another real review, and today I'm diving into Netflix's original film, I'm Thinking of Ending Things, directed by Charlie Kaufman, who also directed Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. It's starring Jessie, Buckley, Jessie Plemons, and Toni, Collette. This is a film that I had no idea what it might even be about. I didn't watch a single trailer, and I don't know of the novel that it's based on, written by Ian Reid. Apparently it is a really crazy book, and if it's as crazy as some people were telling me it is, the movie might be crazier. What did I just witness? But hey guys, before I get into what I liked about the movie and what I really didn't like about this film, if it's your first time here at the channel, welcome to Real James, where I talk about movies and I review them early just for you guys. So if you want to see more of that, go ahead and hit the big red button below, subscribe to the channel, tap on that bell as well, because tomorrow I'm releasing my review for Mulan. It's going to be one you want to tune in for. Also guys, go ahead and hit the like button down below and get loud in the comments and let me know if you're watching this movie when it releases on Netflix on Friday. I'm curious to see if you guys even like this film after you finish it. It's unconventional. Alrighty guys, so let's get right into my review. Now, I'm usually more confident in giving you guys at least a brief description of the film, but this one, it's kind of tough to do so. Let me try. A young woman and her boyfriend Jake are on their way to his parents' farmhouse to meet the parents for the first time. However, the entire way there, she's thinking of ending things. As the movie goes on, you start to realize that there are some really weird things happening with Jake's family, and also with Jessie Buckley's character herself. Okay guys, so yes, this is a movie that is unorthodox. The storytelling is definitely a little confusing, and you're going to need to pay attention to each and every scene. So let's kind of start there. I keep saying this movie's confusing, and it's because things seem to change all of the time in this film. From scene to scene, even within scenes, characters change appearances. You start to see weird photos on the wall of a character that's never even visited the house. It becomes a very almost exhausting movie, and that's both good and bad because it's the director's intention. I believe, the source material probably paves the way for these confusing moments, and I was trying to keep up and write down all these notes and the differences, and after a while I just had to stop because it happens so often. But it was my curiosity in what's coming next that kept me along the ride. And this is a movie that clocks in, I think, a little over 2 hours, and even though it's not the longest movie I've ever watched, it definitely starts to feel like it's a mission to get through. I legit screamed, "What is going on?" multiple times, because what is going on in this film? And it doesn't help that each character balances multiple personalities. However, what is great about that is the powerhouse performances that we got from our actors here. Let's start with Jessie Buckley. She is great as a character that doesn't necessarily have a name. We get Lucy, we get Louisa, I think at one point. She's just known as the young woman when you turn the subtitles on. But Jessie Buckley is able to balance either being someone who's reserved, being an artist, being a high art snob, being very nice to Jake, and then being very commanding. So she's able to go through all of these different personalities in one film, and it's really impressive. And then there's Jessie Plemons, who I've loved since Breaking Bad, but he plays a caring individual sometimes, and sometimes he plays an individual who's basically ready to blow. He's almost a loose cannon, hitting his steering wheel, and sometimes I almost start to feel claustrophobic because he's almost like coming off the screen and just yelling at me. So it's definitely weird for him. This is not the weirdest role he's probably ever played, but it's not one that I expected him to be in. However, he excels because he's just able to deliver each line of dialogue in such a very snappy, unique way. And then there's Toni Collette, who for me was the scene stealer here. If you haven't seen A24's Hereditary, guys, you probably should, because she's giving me major vibes from that movie. I mean, how did they still go in that house after she was waving at them for minutes on end? I would have been freaking out. I would have said, "You keep me in the car, or you get me the keys, because I'm leaving." But she plays Jake's mother, who is clearly mentally ill, and then some scenes she's on her deathbed, and then there are some scenes where she's just overly nice. So I see Toni Collette kind of going through each personality, and she just is excellent here. I loved her performance, and sometimes she's even taking some verbal abuse from actor David Thewell's character, who's just known as Jake's father here. And boy, I will tell you, their interactions were, wow, It was breathtaking in like the weirdest way. Now, outside of the acting, I think the writing here is actually pretty darn good. Charlie Kaufman pens the script from Ian Reid's novel, and I haven't read the novel. I don't know anything about the source material, but what I will say is that it's incredibly confusing, I guess, on purpose. It makes me kind of question everything that happens in this film, and if it's in reality or if it's just the dream sequence. I'm hanging on the end of every sentence, and I think that's both a plus and a minus. It's a positive because I was totally bought in to what happens next. It also gave me this A24 vibe. If you're familiar with A Ghost Story, which is an amazing film, I love that movie so much. I remember being one of the only critics that loved it at the time in my market, but I am a big fan of A Ghost Story, and this has a very similar atmosphere to it. It makes you question what might be happening on screen, if it's real or not, if it's just in the character's head or not. And I love that Charlie Kaufman played with this element multiple times throughout this film. And then technically speaking, this movie is shot incredibly well. I love the cinematography. They play with some dark blues, there's some vibrant reds and yellows. It kind of just has a personality to it in each scene, and I actually love these quick silent cuts that happen. And then there's a lack of score that is beautiful in a way, because it's the lack in this film that almost produces the most throughout the rest of the film. And it's so cool to see a movie done like this in 2020. Now, while this movie is strong in the acting department and some of the writing here is really unique, and I'm not gonna lie, it was, again, very well shot, it's just a little too loose, especially as we get into the third act, because things start to just change rapidly, and I was taking notes until at one point I just threw my hands up and said, I can't keep up. Absolutely nothing makes sense in this movie, and I think that was the intention by Charlie Kaufman, but you have to have a payoff at the end that can at least support all of this zaniness, and I didn't feel like all of my homework that I was doing throughout this movie paid off at all. Because this story isn't necessarily linear, you play with time, you go forward, you go backwards, you're stuck in the present, and then things change in the present. Having to try and keep up with all of that kind of just weighed on me as an audience member. I was totally bought into the dialogue the entire film, but for all the what the heck moments, there weren't necessarily a lot of, oh, okay, so I know why we had to go through this now type of moments. And again, this is a movie that's not traditional in any sense, so when you are stuck in the car with Jesse Plemons and Jessie Buckley for almost 25 minutes, and they're just rambling about whatever comes to mind, well, that's most of the movie. Even though the movie was getting closer and closer to that 2-hour mark, I just felt like the film never necessarily had a very strong sense of direction in the second half, and I wish it did, because it almost would have made all of the wonderfully confusing moments in the first half worth it. So overall, you guys, this is a film that starts off incredibly strong. I liked the dialogue the entire way through. Jessie Buckley, Jesse Plemons, Toni, Collette, they are standouts. They're wonderful in this film, and I like that it's different. It's not going to be accessible for everybody, and clearly no one's going to turn this on and say, let's invite all our friends over and watch it, because it's just not that kind of movie. This is a film you watch either by yourself or with your significant other that can hopefully appreciate an A24-esque film, and if not, then I don't think this is going to be an enjoyable experience for you. I love A24. I love movies that think outside the box just like this and aren't traditional. But the thing is about A24 films, and what makes them great, is that there's a payoff at the end. You almost feel like there's either a resolution or the story ended well enough to where all of your hard work and keeping up with the plot, I guess, paid off. Here, not so much. I'm thinking of ending things is just a film kind of going all over the place, and you just get tangled up in the plot, and eventually it ends and you think, was it really worth all that time? Alrighty guys, well there you have it. That's my review of the incredibly confusing I'm Thinking of Ending Things. I would probably give it the 3.5 star range for this film. It's not necessarily going to be a film I revisit anytime soon, if at all. And I just wish that third act was stronger, because I think I would have come away loving this film if it would have just ended a little bit more tightly. But hey, I want to know what you think, so go ahead and get loud in the comments below and let me know if you like this film or if you feel similar to me. And if you haven't already, go ahead and hit the big red button below, subscribe to the channel, and turn on those notifications, because my Mulan review is dropping tomorrow afternoon. Alrighty guys, well I'm going to go ahead and do some yoga because I need to rest my mind. I still don't know what the heck I just witnessed. Again, thank you so much for watching, you guys, and I'll catch you at the next screening.